in the forms, how we can design various types of elements. So we learned about form elements. In these form elements, we discussed about how do we work with various input types. So up to now, we learned about text box and password, how to deal with number and email, URL, how to handle input URL. So these are the basic input elements we learned. And range also, range, how we can use input type range, these elements. Now in form elements, today we will see others. How to design and how do we work with other types of elements, we will see that. Actually, the other important is, after understanding these today, we will see how to work with date input. Date input. The purpose is allowing user to input date value. So here important is you can restrict only date values, only date and time values, so that user cannot enter any another value. We can design in such a way that it will allow to enter only date and time values. So how you can allow user to input the date values, we will see. For that, actually, we have options like we can use you can use input type as, we can use input type as date. We have date, we have date time local, and we have month. We have option like how we can allow week. So date related types, we have date, date time local, so month, week, and we also have time. These are used for allowing date values. You can see here we have this page. Let's design. In this, I'm using simple text as departure, and here we want user to enter date value. So input type we can define as date, and you can see when I say input type date, now date will have this value. You can see a date picker will come. In the date picker, user can select any date. User can choose any date. You can select the year, months, and you can choose any date that you want here. You can choose any date that you want. That is input type date. So it gives you a calendar, and from the calendar, you can select one date. Here, so many points are there. That is general input type date, first one. So this input type date allows only date. That means if I define syntactically, input type date. This is for only date. You have an option date time local. We can use date time local. If I use date time local, you can see it will display both calendar for date and time. So you can select a date and you can select some time. You can scroll these, you can choose any time and you can define the time. You can select and you can choose any specific time and you can use it. So only date, you can define date. So, or you can also define as input type is equal to date time local. Date time local, it will allow both date and time. Date and time. If you want only time, you can use input type is equal to time. Input type is equal to time. This is used to define only time. Only time value you can allow by using that. So here, suppose I am using time and you can see here only time option will come. User can select any specific time and use that here. So that time will be stored there. So we can allow user to enter, select date, both date and time or only time. You also have an option input type you can put as month. So it is used to select only month. So that means only month it will allow. So that means you can see I change this to month. Then it will allow to select month. That means here you can choose month name. So which year, which month you select, that year the month will come. So that is designing to select only month or only date or only time like values. You have also option like input type we can keep week. So you can select week, entire week in year. Actually, you see, I changed this to week now. Week allows you to select. Here you see week numbers will be there. So February is 7th week. Means current it is 7th week of February. 7th week of entire year. So it comes under that. And it is used to, it actually selects that entire week. What is advantage is later, if you want, you can access all the dates under that week and use them. But for that, you need little bit JavaScript and handle by using JavaScript. So week allows you to select entire week and manage the values in that particular week. That JavaScript will show you how we can handle the weeks and work with them. This is technically allowing the date value, time value, month value and all. Here so many points are there. So many questions are there. The first important question is how to restrict date range. How to restrict date range so that user can select only the date from here to here. That means I don't want user to select previous month. I don't want to user to select after specific month. How you can manage that? The answer for this is by using min and max attributes. By using min and max attributes. So min and max attributes defines from which date to which date user can select. Here one important note is that when you input date, when you input date, it must be in year, year, month, and day format. It must be in year, month, day format. Anywhere in computer technologies, as a developer, this is for developer. For a person who is using the dates, he will just select a date from the calendar. From the calendar, he will select a date. But in the backend, every technology related to computing technologies, by default, they support year, month, day format. So the format must be year, month, day as a developer when you are designing. But when we are showing to user our wish, we can show in year, month, day, month, year, anything you can show. But input must be always year, month, day. That is only browsers understand properly. That is the only format which browser can understand properly. So always you have to use this option, year, month, day. So here, suppose in the date input, we have date. In this date input, I don't want user to select the previous dates of February. So from 19 February, suppose some March 19th, only these dates are selectable, others not selectable. We don't want user to select others. We want user to select only these. Then what we can do is we can define here min. Here we have to define the minimum date in the format that is expected as per standards. Year, month, day. Year is 2022, month is 02, day is 90. And here I am, for example, I am typing some other year format. Suppose I say 2/19, 2022. That is minimum. The maximum is suppose 3/20, 2022. Like this I defined. That is the minimum and maximum I defined. You see here in the calendar, it's not restricting. You see, we can select old date also. 19th. So actually we given from 19th only allowed, but it is not using that. Any date I can select. I can even select January date also I can select. Because the format is not good. The format must be year, month, day. Year is 2022, month is 02, and day is 19. Year, month, day, it should be in that format. So up to 2022 and 03, month, and the day is 20. And you can see now the calendar will not allow to select other dates. You see other dates are not selectable here. You can select only from February 19th. Other dates you can't choose. So I go to the, see previous month not working. Next month working, and after that it stopped. You see after 20 other dates are not selectable. So user can select any date. So I can choose any date. The date will be there. We can set the range for the date, but it must be in this format. So this is the syntax, how we can restrict the dates. Syntax is this is restriction for date. We can give minimum date, maximum date, and define it. So another option here is how to set default date. Default date. That's very simple. Default date is nothing but by using by using value attribute. Value attribute, you can set default date. That means the point is nothing but whenever I open the page, you can see it is asking month, day, year, which one you want to select. So it is not selecting anything. It is asking which one to select. Actually, what we can do is here, we will put a value. We'll put a value that is 2022 and 02 and 20. And you can see that here, that date is all selected there. Otherwise, it will show DD, MM, and asks you to select. If you want, you can set by default one date. If user wants, user can change it. But whenever page opens, that date will be set as default date. You can configure that, and you can define by using value property. By using value, you can do that. Syntactically, this is the option. Same, only the changes, we can define the date in this way, right? So another question asked regularly related to this is, can we select multiple dates or a range of dates? So answer is no, we cannot do that. But you might have seen several websites. They allow you to select multiple dates. But those are not HTML date controls. Those are not HTML date controls. They are designed by using CSS, JavaScript, jQuery like technologies. So HTML will not, HTML date input will not allow. HTML date input will not allow. Others can allow, but HTML date input will not allow. That's what it can do. So that's how it can manage actually. So can we select multiple dates or range of dates? Yes, we can do, but not in HTML. By using third parties, we can do. For example, you see websites like, suppose makemytrip.com. This is a website. And here we selected some flights. And when you want to select the date here, you can see here the calendar allows you to select a range of dates actually. If I choose a return date, two-way journey, like, it will show you to select the range of dates. These are ML calendars actually. These are the calendars specially designed with CSS, HTML, JavaScript, jQuery. So, and they use it in this website. Such calendars, third parties will provide, people can buy and use them, or you can design them. But HTML, it is simple actually. HTML provides only few things. So we cannot select multiple date, range of date values and use them. That is one restriction for the date here. So that is really how we can restrict, configure the dates. To work with the date, this is important. We have input date, date time local, month, week, and time. We can restrict the date and time. So we can restrict the date values range, and we can set a default date, but we cannot allow to select multiple dates. That's not possible. That is one date input. Another, after understanding how we can input the date, next, another important in the input options we have, another important input options we have is color input. HTML provides a color input also. It provides a color input. Color input means it allows you to set one color. So select a color. That means actually it it will display color picker, so that user can select any color. So it uses the type as color. It uses the type as color. So syntactically it is very simple. We can just define input type is equal to color. We can just define input type equal to color. That is for color input, how you can define and use the color input. You can see here. So I will change this. I will say, usually websites have that, right? Suppose I given some images. I have given some image so equal to, so we have public images, some backpack, some image. Temporarily I'm giving width is equal to 200, height is equal to 200. And below this image, we given a div. And here we can put input type is equal to color. And here we can just put a message. So here we say select color. Select color. And this is nothing but it will display a color picker there. But of course, so keep one more line break, just break. But of course, that picture color will not change, because for that we have to apply through programming. Which color you selected, that color need to be applied. Here we are just giving color picker. Here we are just giving a color picker. But when you select color, that color should apply to that particular image or particular text. You have to change it. That depends. So that depends, and that uses. And you see in websites, there will be different color pickers. Like round color pickers will be there. Only 3-4 colors will be there. Such things are again designed with CSS. HTML color pickers, you can select a color and you can choose a color here. But when user chooses the color, that color must be applied to that image. Such things you can do by using JavaScript or jQuery. You can manage that and you can handle it. Usually that is what color pickers concept is, right? It's a very simple one. Suppose if you want by default any color can have a value. Here color value, suppose I given as green as the color value. You see the color value is not there, because actually here the color value, you can set default color by using value attribute. But important is the color value must be hexadecimal color value. Already I told you hexadecimal colors in HTML. We can write hexadecimal by using hash RGB3 combination or hash RRGGBB3 combination. And you know that value ranges from 0 to F. So that's how the value range happens actually. I already showed you that color value you have to define like this. That means you have to define as hash. So here red is 0, green is F and 0. So that means it will put that green color and display. But here you observe here you can see when we define that the color is not displayed. So here reasonable here is actually, suppose I said 00 FF 00, that is the color option. Now you can see it works, because this is shorthand way. This is shorthand way. We have shorthand technique, and this is the lengthy. This is the complete color. So the color value must be hexadecimal, but one important is the color value must be 6-character hexadecimal. You cannot use a 3-character hexadecimal. You have to use because 3-character is shorthand technique, actually shortcut technique, and HTML cannot understand this shortcut technique. So in especially color picker, generally applying colors it will work, but in the color picker, this picker you can see this color picker can give you only these colors through hexa code only. So that is the hexa code. You can see it is like this. That is by using hexa code, you can apply the color. That is the reason you have to use that 6-character hexa code, because that depends on picker. Picker allows hexa code means you have to write in hexa code, and 3-character hexa code, then 3 characters, 6-character hexa code, then 6 character. So HTML color picker will give a 6-character hexa code. That is the reason we have to define that actually. This is color input, means how we can use the color input and define. So you can apply syntactically like this. You can configure syntactically in this way. So technically here we have defined input type is equal to color, and here we defined value is equal to hash 00FF00. Like this we can configure the color values. That is the basic color value, so defined here. What Aftab Ansari, were you sleeping here? I already clearly showed you how to set the default data. Concentrate on class, man. Again, you are asking the same question. Are you sleeping in class? Here I clearly given the how to set the default date, and I showed with an example also. And you are again asking the same example, how to set the default date. Default date, default time, it is set by using value property, right? Date, time, everything. Right. So this is the color picker, right? How we can define the color picker and specify the color picker, right? That is color input. So we can configure the color input. Right? Next important, we have in the forms, we have file input. Another important is the file input. How you can use a file input and configure it. File input is nothing but it allows the user to select a file. It allows the user to select a file. But remember, this is only to select a file. It allows the user to select a file from local machine. You can say local computer. So from the local computer, it allows the user to select a file. You can just only select a file. Don't think that it is file uploading. Remember, it is not uploading file. Because uploading file we can't do in HTML. We can design one control that will allow to select the file. Uploading file requires code. We have to write logic code for uploading the file, loading that into server. We need code for that. This is just only uploading, only selecting the file. So you can define a file file browser. You can define a file browser by using type as file. Here some more points are there. So you can see here, I'm giving a simple option here. Upload. I said upload photo. And upload photo, here I'm giving input type is equal to file. And you can observe that input type is equal to file, and this button I will change the button as upload button. Upload button. You can see input type file will give like this. It will give an option called upload photo and a choose file option will be there. This upload button is a submit button that we designed. So if I don't use that submit button, so it will be only browse button, only this choose file button will be there. And I click that, it will open the file explorer. In the file explorer, you can select. So which file you want, you can select and you can just open. Then that file is chosen here. Remember, this is not uploading the file. This is not uploading the file. This is only selecting the file. Don't think it is file uploading. Because if you think file uploading, several wrong questions will come. So this is not file uploading. This is file selecting. If I say file uploading, then people ask question like, sir, how to restrict uploading only JPG files or PDF files, or how to restrict file size only to MB size I can upload, other I cannot upload. This is not uploading. So if you take the concept as uploading, then wrong questions will come. You will have a wrong idea on this control. This control is not uploading the file. It is just selecting the file. So restricting the file to upload and restricting the file type to upload, file size to upload, that cannot be done in HTML. That is done through server side, client side logic, because it is not uploading of file. It is just only selecting. So here we can define input type as file. So it is only selecting the file, not uploading. Syntactically, I said input type is equal to file. Here some points are there. Suppose actually when user clicks here, then all types of files will come. Suppose I go into desktop and some files, all type of files will come. JPG files, PDF files, all types of files will come. All types of files will come. Actually, I want only JPG files to filter. Here, I want only JPG files to filter. In that case, that means, for example, if I say upload photo, I don't necessarily PDF, Word documents to come. I want JPG, PNG files to come. That means actually you can set filter. So here question is, can we filter? Can we filter the files by type? Can we filter the files by type? That is the question actually. Answer is yes, we can filter by using accept attribute. By using accept attribute, you can do that. That is filtering, not restricting. That means suppose I want the user to see only JPG, PNG files in the list. So that means when user selects, so suppose on desktop, some desktop files, when user selects, we want only JPG and PNG files to come. Others should not come. In that case, what you can do is, in the file control, you can use here accept. We can use accept. We can write the extension like .jpg. We can write the extension .jpg, and you can see when I write that .jpg, accept JPG, when I say choose files, other files are not coming here. Suppose I go to desktop, I open desktop files, only here you can see JPG files only will come here. JPG files will come. And very important is here, you can observe here, actually, so here you can see it will put a filter there. File name filter will be there. You can see file name filter, JPG image is there. But observe carefully, when I click the drop down here, when I click the drop down here, all files option also will be there. And when I select all files, other files also will come. That means it is not restricting the file, it is filtering the file. HTML file control cannot restrict the file, it can filter for you. Suppose I want only PDF files. Then if I want only PDF files, then I can write .pdf. That means it will now, I choose file, here only PDF files will come. Suppose on desktop, some files, only PDF documents will come here. Only PDF documents will come. Other documents will not come here. Only PDF documents will come. So you can restrict it. But again, when user selects there, all files will come. Then you can see all files will come. When user selects, all files will come. All files will be displayed here. That is not restricting. This is just only filtering. You can put multiple also. For example, I said .jpg, comma, I said .png, .png. I'm using comma. So .jpg, .png, like I say choose file here, choose file here. So .jpg and .png files only will come. That means I go on desktop and I can show files here. JPG, PNG files only will come. Others will not come. So you can put multiple filters also. You can just put comma. You can say JPG, PDF, your wish, whatever you want. But remember, this is not restricting. This is not restricting. So if anybody asks you for this, answer is syntax is input. We had define input, type is equal to file, and accept is equal to .jpg. You can define like this. If you want multiple, you can say .png, comma. Like this, we can configure the type. So if anyone asks question like, can we restrict the file type? So the answer is no. So we cannot restrict the file type. Another question here is, can we restrict the file size? So that is also no. So because this is HTML, this is not uploading the file. Why you cannot restrict the file type, file size, but restriction file type, file size required in real time. But that is not the work of HTML. That is not the work of HTML. The work of HTML is to only select the files and filter the files. That's it. Restriction is done through the programming, because how you know the size of the file? After submitting the file, we know the size of the file. While selecting the file, we know the size of the file. For that, we need to read the size of the file. HTML is not a programming language that it can read it. So it can just only allow you to select it. So that is the reason you cannot restrict the file type. So you cannot see here. I will give an answer. You can filter the file type. You can filter the file type, and you cannot restrict the file size. You cannot restrict the file size. This is basically how we are configuring the files and defining the files. So when you are configuring the files, defining the files, and uploading the files, HTML will give a file selector. One more question here is actually how to enable, how to select multiple files. Why? Because by default it allows only one file to select. Suppose I click on browse button and it opens it. Here I can select only one file, any one file. But sometimes they ask you to upload all photos. Then 2-3 photos I need to select, but it is not allowing. I use control key, shift key, anything not working. Only one file I can select as of now. But we want to allow multiple. Then you can do one thing. So how to select multiple files? By using the attribute. You have to use the attribute called multiple. you have to use the attribute called multiple. If you can use the attribute multiple, then it allows you to select multiple files. So here we can define that. So that means you can see, we can put the attribute as multiple. That's enough. When you define multiple, automatically you can see that when I click choose file, here it allows you to select more than one file. I selected first file, I selected second file, I selected the fourth file, and open. All three files are chosen here. And when I upload, those three file names will be submitted. If there is a name defined, you have to give a name now. So name I will give files. So because submit button cannot submit if name is not there. Now I am selecting Amazon banner and I am selecting some India and I click open. Those two files are selected. And when I click on upload, and you can see those two file names will come. Amazon banner, so and this India PNG, all these files will come, right? Technically, this is the concept of allowing multiple files, how we can allow multiple files. So syntactically, how you can define the multiple files, you can say input type is equal to file, and here we can define multiple. You can define multiple. You can also add restriction by using accept. So we can configure here .jpg like that. So we can define multiple. So allowing to multiple files, select multiple files. For that we need this option. This is file input. Remember, file input is not uploading of file. It is only selecting the file. Only selecting the file. So not uploading the file. So restricting the files, configuring the files for restriction and all. These all things require some more good uh, programming skills that you will learn anyhow while learning JavaScript and jQuery. You will see how we can define the restriction for that. This is another very important input, file input. How you can restrict the, how you can configure file input. Next important in the elements, when you are configuring the form elements, another very important, we have radio buttons. We have radio buttons. So in the form elements, another important is radio buttons. Actually, what is the purpose of radio button? How the radio button works? For example, I will show you here some software. I will open here. Generally, here these are all check boxes actually. I will open some settings if they are character spacing and all these. These are all radio options. Yeah. Actually, the radio buttons will be like this. You see, this is radio button option. That is here itself. You can see there is an effects option. This is a radio button. This is a radio button. So that is a radio button actually. So generally, when we ask questions like, what is the purpose of radio buttons, how these radio buttons are used and all, so many points, wrong idea people have actually. For example, generally, suppose I given like this, I will just give an option. So say gender, and here we have input type is equal to radio. Now I have, this is male, and I have another input type is equal to radio, and this is female. Actually, like this, the page is having male and female gender options. If we show this and we ask user like, what is the purpose of radio button, then many people will give you answer like, radio buttons are used to select any one option. That is what generally people give you as answer. Radio button is used to select any one option, but actually it is not. You see here, we can select male, we can select female also. That means that is wrong answer. So if anyone says that radio buttons can select only one, that is wrong answer. Why? The reason I will tell you. Then how it is used also I will tell you. Actually, radio buttons allow, radio button allow to select one or multiple. You can choose one or multiple. But problem with radio button is radio button, radio button once checked cannot be unchecked. Once checked, it cannot be unchecked. That means once selected, you cannot deselect. Means in your simple understanding words, once selected, cannot cannot be deselected. Cannot be deselected. Once selected, cannot be deselected. You see here, I am selecting male and female. If I want to deselect female, it's not working. It is not working. I am deselecting male. It's not working. Once, see, I will refresh the page. Then it is empty. Once I click male, it is selected. And important is, I want to deselect. I am clicking again. It's not working. So that is the problem. That is the problem of radio buttons. Radio buttons have this problem. Actually, I will show you here. For example, what happens? Suppose we have this is called process. Suppose we have process. So we have process. Now we have two tasks actually. We have task 1 and we have task 2. Two tasks are present. Now generally what happens is this task 1 is sent into process. And after it goes into the process, it is stuck in the process. It is stuck in the process. It cannot come out of the process. To make it come out of the process, then what we have to do is we have to reset the process. That means we have to refresh the page, reset the process. That is not good. That is not good. So similarly, you see, I send another task. This task also will go. And now both tasks are stuck in the process. They cannot come out of the process until or unless you restart the process. That is what happening here also. Male is selected, female is selected, but you can't deselect them. Until or unless you refresh the page, you cannot deselect them. That is not good. Now, how to make these two tasks? So in such a way that only one task is used. So both will not work. Then what we can do is we can tie these two tasks. We can tie these two tasks. The two tasks, the task 1 and task 2, these two tasks are attached to one thread. They are attached to one thread. Generally, we call this concept in multi-threading as mutex. Mutex means mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion. Mutex means mutual exclusion. That means how the mutex is possible by configuring two tasks on same thread. If you configure two tasks on same thread, process will allow only one task at a time. So then what happens is the first task will go into the process. The first task will go into the process and it is working inside the process. Now what happens is, obviously it cannot come out of the process. It stuck in the process only. Now you send the second task. which is related to same thread into this process, then the second task will send the task one outside. That means out of these two, only one will be working. This mechanism is called mutex. We call this mechanism as mutex. So radio buttons, generally, radio buttons are best used with mutex mechanism. Mutex mechanism. Mutex means mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion allows only one radio, only one radio in the process. In the process. In the process. But very important is, but all related radios must have a common name, must have a common name, which is we call as thread name. Actually, they must have a common thread name, same thread name they should have, then they will work properly. For example, see, now I am using input type radio. For this I am giving a name I will give here as gender. Okay, now the same name you have to give for the second radio also, gender. Now these two belongs to one thread. If remember, radios are actually empty, so that means if you don't give anything inside the radios looks empty radios will be there. The text you have to give outside, not inside. Inside we cannot give any text, we have to give outside like this. This is gender, this is male, and this is female. But here how you are managing, we are managing both on same name, means both are running on same thread. Now observe here. Now what happens when I select male, the first male is selected, and when I try to deselect, it is not deselecting, but when I select female, it is deselected. That means out of these two, only one can be selected. That is possible if you run both radios on same thread. Suppose if you have written a different name, gender 1 and gender, you can see that again both are independent, both are selecting. You have to run both with the same name, then out of these two, only one will be selected. This is called mutex mechanism. If I want to deselect both, it's not possible. If you want to deselect both, it's not possible at all. You have to refresh the process, then only it will go. That is the reason generally, see, we write syntactically here. So input type is equal to radio, and radio should have a name is equal to gender. Here we defined male. Similarly, input type is equal to radio, and name is equal to gender, and here we defined as female. Like this we have to define. They should have same name. And important, when to use this, when selecting of any one option is mandatory. When selecting of any one option is mandatory, then better use radio, because once you selected, you cannot deselect, but any one you have to select. And if you want, you can make radio selected by default by using checked property. That means whenever the page opens, I want one checkbox selected, then I will give here, suppose male as checked, then automatically the male is selected by default, and you can change female. But whenever page loads, by default male will be there. You cannot write checked for both of them. If I write checked for both of them, it will be applied only to the last one. Because both are having the same name, last one will be working. So only one you have to better give checked. That means it is selected. Now only one can be selected out of these two. 2, 3, anything, any number you can give. But make sure that all are having the same names. If they are not having the same name, then every radio button will be independent and individual. Every radio will be independent and individual. So that is how we configure the radios. Here, one more important point is that suppose this is checked. I will give a syntax here. Syntactically, we write like this. So we use checked property. We use checked property. In radio buttons, one more important thing you should know is, so when you submit radio button, when you submit radio button, it submits on as value. This is very important. In many interviews also, they may ask you this question. When I submit a radio button, what will submit? When you submit radio button, usually the radio button submits on as value. No, I don't want on as. You see here, suppose, now observe carefully here, both are having name, and I selected suppose female and click on upload, and you can see gender is on, value is on, it shows on. Actually, this is submit button. Right? Any name you can give here, submit button, and you can see it submits on. I don't want that on to be submitted. Then what you have to do is you can define value. You can define value so that radio will submit the value selected. So the value, radio will submit the selected value, that will be better. So what you have to do is, for radios we have to give value now. That means for first radio button we have to give value. First radio button we have to give value as male. Second radio button we have to give value as female. Female. Now you can see the both radio buttons are there. And when you are selecting these radio buttons, so male or it will get male word, gender male. And I said female, and it says gender is female. It is showing the male and female, and it is defining that. So generally, when you are configuring radio buttons, the value is important. You have to define the value. If value is not defined, by default, it submits. By default, it submits on as the word. Any radio selected, on only will come. Then it is very confusion to understand which radio is selected. That is difficult. That's the reason values are very much important here while working with radios. So that is the main concept of radios. And depending on the requirement, you allow to select the radios. Okay, so that is the reason sometimes people have a wrong idea on radio. By seeing the radios, people think that radios are used for selecting one option, but radios can be used to select multiple options also. But due to their nature of going into process and cannot come out of the process, what we do is we want the radios to work with mutex mechanism. Mutex mechanism means technically the mutex mechanism indicates configuring of multiple index mechanism, multiple elements. Out of that, only one will be in the process. That's how the radio buttons will work. Now, similarly, we have check boxes, list boxes, drop downs, and other options in the form that we will see in the next session. Okay. In the Monday session, we will discuss about the other controls. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hand. I can get back to you. Right. So in the Monday session, next, we will do the other options. Okay. Right. Yes.